Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Smart Bird Feeders. There are a ton of different types of smart bird feeders you can get, but they all have some things in common. So there's different metal ones that they make. There are really kind of quirky, unique designs like this triangle one. There's some of the really popular brands and well-known like Bird Buddy. There's some, kind of more knockoff, generic looking ones, but there's a lot of different things that you can pick from as far as getting a smart bird feeder. But we're going to go through what most of them have in common. So I have one from KiwiBit. It's called the Beco here that we're going to set up and go through kind of everything you need to know. So we're going to go through step by step with how to set this one up, and it should be pretty similar to other ones. So it used to be when I started doing smart bird feeder reviews that once you got it and you downloaded the app, that was pretty much it. You wouldn't have to pay for anything extra because you're already paying for the unit itself. Now a lot of them are adding on like cloud storage, subscriptions, things, other features you can get to pay more for, which I'm not a big fan of. But sometimes you don't have to do that. You can just stay on the basic one. It'll make it seem like you have to pay extra when you actually don't. So make sure to check and see what comes with your subscription and what you actually have to pay extra for. So if you were gifted something like this or you bought one and you don't know where to start, let's take it from the top. First thing you do is open the box and just see what you actually have in here. So we will take the packaging off. And a lot of them say a lot on the box. So it says 4K resolution, identify visitors with AI-powered recognition. That has not worked well in the past for feeders I've tried, the AI recognition. Enjoy flexible placement with a detachable solar panel that provides extra power. I like the solar panels. Refill with ease using a removable split food storage system with independent valves. And then sometimes if they're from other countries, they'll actually have like non-native birds on the cover. It'll just be mislabeled. But this one looks like everything's pretty good. It's got a nice American goldfinch on the cover. So let's pop the box open. So on the top we have a quick start guide, user manual, and some positioning stickers. These are if you need to drill into something. Put the stickers on, drill where the holes are here, and then you have it in the right place. So that's nice that they include those. And then we have the actual unit here. So this is metal. This is part of the stand. This is part of the top. This is plastic. This is metal. This is part of the stand, I think. This is the perch. This is plastic. Then we have the actual seed reservoir. So this is the removable seed tray, it looks like. This is the camera unit. So this is plastic with our camera in there. And then this stuff I believe is the components, like the solar panel. Yep, solar panel and mounting for the solar panel. And then different screws, tree strap if you want to wrap it around a tree, and a charging cable. This one looks like a USB-C. So the first thing you want to do when you get one of these is normally just charge it up because it may not have any charge. It may have been sitting on the shelf, may not be charged beforehand. So we'll take this off. This is always satisfying to do. But we can charge our unit first, and that's normally the first thing you're going to want to do as well. Now some things to consider before buying one of these is that most of them only work with a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. Let me repeat. Most only work with a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. So if you have 5G only, you're going to want to make sure you get a unit that works with 5G. Most of them don't. So you would plug this into a USB charger or plug it into something that you can plug into an outlet and then plug in the back of this here. So you flip these open, plug it in, and then charge it up. So we're actually going to let it charge first and then we'll continue with putting everything else together. So we have our feeder charging now. It made a little bit of noise when I plugged this in initially, which they might do. Kind of depends on the unit. Normally there's some kind of thing to tell you it's on. There is no charging light on right now, but that may be because on the bottom here, there's this paper that you have to remove. So looks like this is the battery down here. So we're going to take this out and then remove this paper. Once we put this back in, the contact should be made to actually let it turn on. So let's put this back in. Close that up. Now this light is coming on. So there's some of the noise. How nice. Okay, so that is charging now. With this one, there's actually more assembly than some of the other ones, which is probably a good one to test with. Thank you very much for the noise. So let's start putting this together. We have this actual like seed reservoir unit that looks like it just fits on top here. Okay, so that goes like that. I'm gonna pull the battery for now just so that it's not making noise while we do this. And I also grabbed a drill. Sometimes it helps to have your own tools with stuff like this. So let's attach the perch onto the bottom here. So this is actually gonna go fit in like this. I'm assuming it's these little screws. Oh, this is actually an Allen wrench, so my drill may not even work here. But they do provide a little one. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to do. So we're looking at this. That's okay. So each one of these is going to get screwed in. So our perch is on. Good to go. Now, this has a couple components that go on the bottom here. So we actually have this piece that goes like this. Everything kind of locks in, which I like, and then it looks like you screw it. So tomorrow when we mount this, we'll attach this to a board that we're going to put this on, and then we're going to place our feeder in here, and that's where it's going to sit. Now, if you want to avoid squirrels, because this stuff is plastic, I have a couple videos on squirrel proofing setups. Putting it on a post with a squirrel baffle is probably your best bet. We're not going to do a ton of squirrel proofing for this because it's going to be a little more of a temporary setup just to test it out, but check out my other squirrel proofing stuff if you want to know how to preserve all of your plastic stuff. So that'll be for tomorrow when it's light out. But for now, we have this. We'll throw the roof on too. There we go. So you press the button on the back, and then you can flip this open in order to feed it. This kind of wants to slide out, so just be careful. And it looks like once it's full, you actually pull these out, and that like lets the seed go through. Oh, it's kind of interesting. So these push, and you can kind of store them up like that. Cool. So let's throw our battery back in. So on something in like your quick start guide, there will be a QR code to scan. So I open my camera up. Scan, and it should take me to the app here. So we'll say get. You'll want to install it. I'm going to input my password. So it is working on installing it. I do believe this is one where there's like additional features you can get, and I think they gave us like a code so we can test it out. But do some research beforehand what's paid and what's not paid so that you're not caught off guard. So we'll open our app. So we'll say that it's allowed to send notifications, but it might get kind of annoying if you have birds coming all the time, so feel free to turn that off if it becomes annoying. So we'll make a new account. We'll put in our email address. Now we'll create a password and a username. So we got a welcome email. Now we'll add a new device. We will allow it to find Bluetooth devices. This is important. We'll allow it to find devices on local networks. So it's searching for devices, so it found ours. And now it'll need the Wi-Fi info. If you have a firewall set up, this might cause issues as well, so you might have to take that down temporarily. So I'm now putting in the Wi-Fi information. Make sure that your username and password are correct here. It is finding the device. Sometimes this stuff takes a little while, and it normally does an app update after it's done.
Connection failed.
And it did not work, so we'll have to figure out why. Maybe it was something in the Wi-Fi password.
Connection successful.
There we go. I don't know what made the difference. I feel like it was the same password, but it's always good when it's successful. Some of them, there'll be like a QR code on the phone, and you'll have to hold it in front of the camera, and that can be a little finicky too sometimes. So you can give it a device name, so we'll just keep it bird feeder. We'll say it's in the garden. We'll hit next. Let's start. It says the Wi-Fi strength is strong. That's because we're inside the house right by the Wi-Fi router. You're going to want to put this as close to your Wi-Fi router as possible. It will get weaker as you go away from the house. The strength depends on the type of feeder you have, so it's kind of different for each one, but you want to put it in a place where your signal is pretty strong. So we'll say next. Now this is where they have the option to do like cloud storage and stuff. And there are some that take little micro SD cards. So this one actually does take a micro SD card, but I don't have one in there. And I don't think it comes with one for this either. But you would put it in here if you had one, and then you can do kind of local storage. So you could pull your SD card and look at the photos. Other ones you can have access to for a limited amount of time, like maybe it's 3 days or something like that. So let's kind of look through the different options here. So it says get 1 month premium free, so you could try it. But we'll say no thanks for now. And then it shows you the differences between what's going on. So on the free plan, you just get event alerts. So I'm assuming it's just taking a picture, and you can probably watch the live stream. If you have the premium plan, it sends you different alerts, bird detection, species ID. So basically just a lot of different stuff. Let's start out with the free one so you can see what it is free, and then we'll try the premium version. So we'll continue without the subscription. So this should actually, oh, there's our update. So as expected, we'll let it update. Update. And it sent us a motion detection. You can see where we're filming there. A lot of these things are quirky. So if you get stuck, try not to get too frustrated or down on yourself. You can figure it out. Okay, it looks like we were successful with our firmware update, which is good. So if we click this, we should be able to get the live feed. There we are. So we can zoom in. You can see me moving. We can wave. So we have different views. We can take snapshots and recordings. So if you have the free version, you can still take recordings to save. It has history, so it's going to show some of these events, like the recordings it took, it looks. The bird section, it wants you to pay for premium. So we have our account, we have our activities. So it looks like it is going to save some events even on the free version. So maybe it will take like motion recordings. We'll just have to see how much functionality there is with the free version. Nice. And then we should be able to see how much charge it has too. 48%. So what we'll do is we'll let it charge overnight. And then we will set it up, and I'll show you how to set up the solar panel too. Put it up in the yard, try the free version, and then we'll try the premium version for a little bit. It's the next day and our feeder is all charged up, so we have it here. When something goes in front of it now, you can see it's having some lights pop up. So that's showing it's getting the motion detection, so it seems like it's working properly. but we're gonna mount it onto this board. So I just have a piece of wood that I sometimes use for smart bird feeders. So we're gonna put our drill stickers on, drill some holes into here, put the screws in, and set this up on it like this so that our feeder can then fit on top of it. And we can kind of put the board wherever we want. Now my squirrel-proof setup, which I would recommend for stuff like this, I'm currently using for my wren house. So I actually have a wren nest box they're using it to nest in. It's a thin pole with a squirrel baffle so squirrels can't climb up on it. And you would want to put it away from anything that animals could jump from. So that's my recommendation. The best way to do this is to have some kind of squirrel-proof setup, but when I'm just temporarily testing stuff, sometimes I'll mount it on the board. So I think I'll put the solar panel on the other side of the board too, and then we can just have it as one unit. And then I'll set it up somewhere on the yard, probably use the tree strap here to just tie the board around something just so we can test it. But squirrel-proof setup is my best advice if you're doing this long term. So unfortunately they did strip out a little bit. Unfortunately a lot of these products, like the screws, aren't made of the most high quality metal. But for what we're trying to do, it should support the feeder, but you'd probably want to get a different screw to put in here to make sure it goes all the way in. But for what we're doing, we'll just leave it as is. And I actually realized that we set up the bottom if you were going to do it for a pole mount. So I don't think we actually need this white piece that's on there. This one, this is if you're going to use a pole. So this might even slide in here without that piece on now. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, we have it attached, so now let's fill it with seed. So here it is all filled up. It doesn't actually hold too much seed. The size of the seed reservoir really varies by, type of feeder. So I'm gonna put the solar panel on the back. You just screw it in and then you hook it up to the back of the feeder and that should keep it charged. In my experience, they work pretty well unless you live in a climate that's really like gloomy and cold and there's not a lot of sun, then sometimes you have to take it in and charge it. So this works very similar to the other stuff where we're just screwing it into the board. So this is gonna go on first here. Then we'll add these pieces and then our panel, and then you can kind of angle your panel at the end. You can hear our wren in the background. Okay, so we have those three on. This tightens it up. Panel on top. So we got the pieces on, this goes on first, then this tightens, then the panel screws on the top. Then the wire plugs into the back. If you're setting this up long term, you'll want, this tucked away so things don't chew on it or, it doesn't tangle in anything. So that's our feeder setup and we're good to go. So now we just wait and it'll notify us when birds show up and we'll check out the free features and then we'll check out the paid features once we kind of get a feel for what the free ones are. So that's your basic smart bird feeder setup. Like I said, if you're doing something more permanent, you're gonna want it on a squirrel baffle, something squirrel proof, more permanent than this, but to test, this is fine for what we're doing. I ended up moving the feeder and board to a different section of the yard where I could attach it to a metal pole with the tree strap. After a few days, we had some media to look through. So we've had our feeder out for a couple days and we've gotten some really cool media. So I'm going to show you how to use the app. So this is still in the free version. So you can go in, if we click the button here, we can watch the live. So it'll show us the live feed of what's going on right now over there. So this is the kind of more square view. I can hit the button on the top right of the screen and make it wide angle to see. I can record videos by pressing the little video button and I can allow access to photos. So I can turn that off. I can have an alarm, it looks like. So you hear that, that's the alarm. That's if like a squirrel is on there. I'll do that for a little bit. I can sleep, so I can turn it off. I can look at the history. I can have audio on or off. Then if I go to like the bird section, it says that's for the premium plan, which we're going to try in a little bit. Looks like it's about $48 per year, about $4 a month. With a lot of these, depending on what you're looking for, you probably don't need to do the paid plan, but we're going to check it out and see. There's also device management, add shared device, languages, frequently asked questions, stuff like that. So let's check out some of the media. We go to activity. The thing with this is on the free plan, without an SD card, it's only showing us like 2 days of footage. So we can go, we'll check out this morning. So we'll go to load more data. We can go all the way back to this morning, see what some of our really early stuff was. Wow, we've had a lot of birds here. So it looks like we had a house sparrow. We can watch this cardinal. Yeah, that's nice. I like being able to hear them too, so it's cool that the audio comes through. Really beautiful northern cardinal at the feeder. I know, I heard house wren. That's probably your house wrens in the box. I think I saw some young bird feeding going on. So it looks like maybe a house sparrow feeding some babies. That clip was very short. I think we have some other ones that are maybe a little bit longer of the babies being fed. Here's a house finch. Yeah, cute. So a lot of these cameras, they are kind of a more like fisheye lens, you know, like the bird's gonna look bigger when it's closer to the camera. This looks like some bird feeding activity from parents. Yeah, here we go. So that's pretty cute. You know, house sparrows are non-native, but like, it's still pretty cute to see them with their babies. I feel like they're hearing the sounds of the young and the parents are like piping up. But yeah, so that's some of the cool stuff we've captured. I also saved some other videos that I'm going to put in here from other days before they got deleted. So if you want to save videos, you can hit the check mark here, select them, and then hit download, and that'll save the videos for you. But what we're going to do is get the premium plan, and then we're going to check out those features to see how much of a difference it is, and then you can decide if that's something you want to do. So for a lot of these feeders, when I started, they didn't really have this option for like a premium plan, but now they offer other stuff. So they should have decent features in like the basic package. So don't get suckered into buying something you don't want to, and then realize later that it was actually covered in the free plan what you wanted. Because most of the AIs that try to ID the birds for you aren't worth it. But we'll see. We'll see if it's worth it for this one. They gave me a code to type in, so I'm going to do that. Otherwise, you would, you know, pay for it, and then you would do that going forward. So one other thing I like about this one is you can just pull the seed reservoir out. So for filling it, it's really nice. I don't have to take the whole thing down and fill it, or you know, put the scoop all the way up. I can just pop the reservoir out, fill it, and then pop it back in. So that's actually been pretty nice. Okay, so I put in the code for the premium plan, but I also wanted to show you how to change it to 4K resolution, because it shoots 130 degrees and it also has 4K, but I think we've been shooting in SD, so this should increase our quality even more. This is device settings. We can go to video settings. Recording resolution is on SD. We'll set it to 4K, so we'll see how much clearer our videos are now that we've done that, and we also have that premium plan. You should be able to do this without the premium plan though, so that's cool. There's also an anti-flicker. Sometimes like when it comes on, it'll like flicker and shine light, so that's kind of cool. It has an anti-flicker, has night vision. It's also at 100% charge, so the solar panel seems like it's working. But a couple of other things I want to mention about this one that kind of set it apart from other ones is that it has the removable seed tray, which I've liked, but also the battery is removable. So you could pop the battery out and charge it if you need to. Thankfully, the solar panel, especially in the summer, seems like it's keeping it charged really well. So we'll see how like the AI and stuff works. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the AIs on the smart bird feeders because normally you don't have crazy variety. So you'll kind of know what's around, and it's been historically pretty bad. So we'll see how this one works out, but you never know. So we're gonna give it a shot. And we'll see what happens. So premium plan now, we'll see what we get and see how it's different from the regular plan, and we'll see how the 4K video works. Okay, we've had the premium plan on for maybe like half a day, but we can see kind of how it's different. So when we look at our clips from the bird feeder, it has this little bird icon. If you click on that, it'll try to tell you what species it is. So it says a bird detected. So that is not narrowing this down to species for that individual one. If we click on another one, we have house sparrow, which is correct. And then we can click house sparrow. It says 99%. So it's nice that it has a percentile. It's not just wildly saying random stuff. And then if we go to our bird section, it actually has these really nice pictures of birds that we've seen from our specific feeder. So that's one of the things you get from the paid plan. I think we also get, more storage here. So I think it's more than just 2 days of, having the clips in there, even though we don't have an SD card. So I believe we have some cloud storage here. So make sure to look at whatever feeder you have, what comes with the basic plan, and then the paid versions, and if you think it's worth doing that. You definitely don't have to, but it's worth knowing what you're getting before, you buy it, think everything's included, and then you don't want to have to pay more later for the features you want. So that is your beginner's guide to smart bird feeders. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know any other tips you have in the comments below. And thanks to the people who make the KiwiBit Biko bird feeder for sending it over for us to try out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know any other tips you have for smart bird feeders in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.